There are obviously those days where you don't want to get out of bed, and there are those days where things are super tough. Whether it's a support system, whether it's maybe this internal mentality that you built up over time, what do you go back to? Like, what do you rely on to get through those tough periods professionally or personally?
So, do you know, honestly, I hadn't really considered mental health as, well, like, I mean, I hadn't explored it. I hadn't considered it until I lost one of my best friends to suicide. So Caroline Flack, who you guys won't know, but she was a big star over here. She hosted Love Island and she won Strictly Come Dancing. She was just this effervescent, incredible ball of energy, but she was riddled with insecurities and doubt. But then a series of horrible things happened to her that honestly, I still contend that any one thing hadn't happened, she'd still be alive today. But it was a sequence of events. And I hate the term perfect storm, but that's exactly what it was. It was this perfect storm of horrendous events. And what it did and what it's done for me over the last couple of years, because she died just before we went into lockdown. So it forced all of us as her mates to really take a look at ourselves and consider friendship and consider mental health. And the one positive of all of this has been the energy that we've thrown into mental health for ourselves and for others. And so we've set up this music festival, which if you're back in the UK, please come to. It's in the summer. The Formula One world has been incredibly supportive. Mercedes gave me my first big check to get it going, which were amazing because they really care. Like Toto, Lewis, George, they all like Lando's big into mental health. They all care about mental health. But it wasn't until I kind of went down this route and then started opening up and I was realizing, my God, this issue is vast. It is a pandemic. Yeah. And what I realized is that we were doing this festival once a year, which is this beautiful feel-good event of music and comedy. But actually, where was the thread running through the year connecting this event? Yeah. We shouldn't be asking people to come out and talk about why they're struggling if we don't offer them a path to recovery. So in answer to your question, that in itself gets me out of any dark space. Because I often think about Caroline. I think, my God, what a horrendous, violent way to die. And then I go, okay, right. In a strange way, I have to respect her decision for doing it. I will always be angry about the events that built up to her making that decision, because as I say, they didn't need to happen. Yeah. And they shouldn't have happened. It's scandalous that they did. But what it's done is it's made me realize that, and I'm not just saying this because we all have lower moments than others, but I never don't want to get out of bed in the morning. Mm-hmm. I felt like that before anyway, but more so now than ever. I feel a duty of care to push forward with her legacy, which I want it to be a positive one. And having kids is the biggest motivator of them all. I'm so acutely aware of nursing them through their development. Yeah. And life honestly is just full of opportunity, and I'm determined to create a positive legacy for her, to be much more aware of my friends' mental health than I was before, because I will always carry the guilt that I wasn't more aware of hers. And yeah, just start here and build outwards. Start here, build outwards, and hopefully in turn, we'll heal each other and we'll get out of bed and attack the world in a really positive way.
Yeah, well said. And I mean, even with our friend group, it was wild when you see one person come out and be vulnerable, how it can have a ripple effect in getting other people to feel confident. But it's also quite scary because, even in 2021, I remember I came to Henny and I was like, man, I'm going through anxiety and I've never had that issue growing up. And he opened up to me about some of the stuff he was going through. And I had friends of mine that I would never have even considered had this part of their life that they were dealing with start to open up to me. So that conversation that you're starting is incredible.
Yeah, but it's so important that you're having these conversations. It really, really is, particularly with young men. I mean, suicide rates in young men are just staggering, and it's heartbreaking, and it's just so needless. And it's it's the old adage that it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem, all of that. But for me, we have to do more than have the conversation, because we're raising awareness, all of us. We're talking, we're starting to talk. Some men still aren't, some women still aren't. But beyond that, we have to do more. And I found this with someone else in the family, that they are asking for help. And I don't know what it's like in Canada, but it's really hard to get help here, really hard. And there's these waiting lists for therapists. There are, backing up in A&E, and they don't know how to respond to them in A&E, and the police are called, and the police aren't. We're not trained for this. See, this is what I found after Flackstock. Every time we did this music festival, I suddenly just got this huge flood of requests and asking for information. I was thinking, I'm not equipped or trained to deal with this. You need a professional. But if I don't respond to you, then I feel it weighs heavy on me that people are coming up to me at the festival and bursting into tears. And I was like, oh my God, we wanted to create a safe space to do that, which was great. But then what happened was I flew straight from the festival to Spa, and I really struggled. And for the first time I went, wow, this actually impacting my mental health now, because I couldn't sleep. So I was anchoring the show, and Sinead O'Connor had died, suspected suicide, I believe. And suddenly I realised it triggered a lot of emotion about Caroline for me. So I'd done Flackstock. Within 2 days, I tried to be with my family and reconnect and calm. And then I went straight to Spa. Thank God I had Naomi Schiff with me, because I just told her everything about how I was feeling. And I cried a lot. And she was like, look, it's okay. And she confided in me about stuff, and we just had this really healing conversation. And then I was able to sort of pull it together, and it was brilliant because Formula One gave me the focus that I needed for those couple of days. But I realised in that moment, we have to do more. Yeah. We can't just talk. Yeah. We have to plot that route to recovery for people.
Yeah. And it has to be easy.
Yeah.
Right?
Can be difficult.
It has to be easy. Yeah. Do you think of how hard it is to be brave and say you're struggling, and then what? No one helps you? Yeah. It's so bad. Yeah. And you have to, in that moment, when you're having a panic attack, you don't want to say, oh, well, you're going to see a therapist in 6 weeks.
What do I do in 6 weeks? Yeah.
Well, it can be catastrophic, Exactly. So anyway, we're working on some really cool stuff at the moment. Yeah. But I just feel it's waking me up at night for good reasons, because I'm excited about it and I really want to forge ahead in Caroline's memory, but I want to get it right because it's so important to get it right. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's amazing that you were able to look after each other. Yeah. And if we can all look after, have a little cuddle, go on.
Wholesome moment.
Oh. You're all huggers. When I got right today, you love hugs. Yeah. I was like, so my kind of people.
You might be Canadian.
Yeah. You never know. Well, my cousin is, I told you.
Yeah. See? Potentially from Toronto. Oh, no,
she is from Toronto. Let me see if she replied.